Okay, so now we're ready to create the producer. So, the producer will handle the actual data transmission to the broker. And we're gonna call the JSON serializer. This JSON serializer class will ensure that the record that we're sending matches the schema that we're proposing. All right, and we're gonna also use the Schema Registry client that is going to register in our case this schema automatically to Schema Registry, and we're gonna see in the UI how that turned out. Okay, so let's create a producer from calling the producer class from Confluent Kafka. We have Bootstrap servers. We have our broker defined up there. For client ID, I'm gonna call it JSON producer file. And let's, I don't know, just play around with acknowledgements. Let's make sure we have all of the replicas. We won't have any, but all of this synchronized, okay? Now it's time for us to define the key serializer. This is going to convert the Python strings explicitly to the UTF-8 bytes, okay? So our key serializer, just like we've done this implementation on the wrapper, string serializer, we're gonna call it the UTF-8. And now we're gonna create the Schema Registry client that is going to communicate with our registry container, just like we have defined in the Docker compose file. So Schema Registry client, let's call this Schema Registry client, and we need to tell what is the URL that we need to connect to, and we have the Schema Registry URL that we define up there. Okay? Now we need to actually call the JSON serializer because this is the bridge between the Python dictionaries and the Schema Registry, okay? It validates and encodes each record before sending it, all right? So our JSON serializer, we're gonna call our JSON serializer, and then we're gonna pass as arguments the JSON string we just created, the schema string we just created, the Schema Registry client, and we're gonna call this toDict. This is in case our data is not a dictionary. So in our case, our data is already a dictionary, so there is no conversion needed. But this toDict here will tell how to convert the Python objects that we might have to a dictionary, so we can serialize it into a JSON. Okay, so this is just the load. We just loaded the schema definition. Here we'll handle the client will handle the schema registration and the ID assignment to it. And here, if our data happens to not be a dictionary, this will convert. We'll implement a function, a lambda function, to convert it to a dictionary. All right. So with this, we are ready to prepare some example records. Okay, so we're gonna like simulate messages that our application would produce. All right, so let's call it records. Let's send a list of them. Let's create user ID, one, event, login, timestamp, 1728421111. That should be good. All right. We're gonna create another one. Let me copy that. Let's send 3. So I have the user ID 2 and 3. This event will be a purchase. This event will be a logout. And timestamp here, let's change it. I don't know, for a 2, 0, let's put a 3 here in the middle. And let's intentionally not consider a timestamp here. Okay. We want to demonstrate like how the record will rely on the schema defaults. in that case. Okay, so let's consider we're sending something without the timestamp. So let me log this just to say that we're about to send it. Producing, and let's grab maybe the length of those records. So let's say producing 3 records to topic name. Okay, now we can go ahead and try to produce it. Okay, so now it's a step to actually go ahead and produce the messages. Each call to the produce function will perform a serialization of the record that's going to be validated against the schema. We're going to register that schema if it's new, and then we're going to send the message to Kafka. Okay? The JSON serializer automatically attaches the schema ID to the message payload, so we don't need to worry about it. All right? So let's loop through all of our records. So for rec in records, we're going to try, let's call our producer.produce. We have our topic name. Our key is we're going to call our key serializer. And let's get our user ID. That's our key. Perfect. And the values will be our JSON serializer on the record, and we're going to pass the serialization context to the topic name, and let's get the message field dot value. And let's call our callback function because we've created this. So on delivery, we'll have the delivery report. Okay, how did we call it? Delivery call. Cool. So we're trying to do that. In case of an exception, just gonna log this exception. Failed to produce records rec. Slug our error. Okay, and finally we can flush it. Let's give ourselves like 10 seconds because flush just waits for all the buffered message to be acknowledged. So without this, again, the script could exit before the last message is sent. And let's finally all messages flush from producer buffer. Okay, I think we are good to go. So on our next session, let's run this and also explore what happened in the UI, the Kafka UI that we have. All right.